All right, I think we're live. Give me 1 second to catch up with y'all on YouTube. I think my mic is actually on. You should be able to hear me. All right, yes, there's sound now, Linda. It wasn't live yet, so that's why there was no sound. But there's sound now, because here I am. Hi, everyone. How are y'all doing? Hi, Beth, Flame Lily, Jess. You made it home just in time. Good to see you. Rosie, as always, I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Be Kind, Kathy Lawrence. I saw Carolyn in the chat earlier. Jason Smith. Everyone. Beth Hunt. So you've got Ann Pena, Sam Costa, always a pleasure to have you here. Kathleen Hensel, Judy McGuire. Oh, Chelsea Diaz, I'm glad you made it. Sorry about your issues with the Discord last night. Hopefully we can get that fixed so you won't miss the next watch party. Yep, last night we did a watch party in Discord where we got to watch the 2020 episode and I'll talk about it as it was happening. It was a really great time. I had a lot of fun doing that, so hopefully we'll be able to do more of those there. That was a great time. So if you're not in Discord yet, there's a link in the description. The mods can help you get going. It's really easy to use. So yeah, it's a great time. As long as you can get through the user errors to actually log in. We'll figure that out. Hi, Drowsy Doll. How are you doing? Drowsy was great last night. She brought some Diet Cokes for the 2-hour 2020 episode. I really appreciated that. That was wonderful. So, we got some stuff to go over today. There are 6 new filings with the court that I want to run through pretty quick. They're pretty dry, procedural, nothing big, but I want to make sure that we have them on the record for our coverage of the case. But I really want to talk about the 2020 episode of the Vallow case last night, as well as Letecia Stauch and her just crazy decision to go pro se and represent herself in her murder trial. That's the worst idea anyone's ever had. So we got to talk about that too. But let's start with these documents because they're dry and boring. Let's go through them and get through it really quick. The first one that's up on your screen, this was filed by Mark Means. This is an expert witness disclosure. Now, this will be for the change of venue hearing. All right. What he's saying is he's bringing Ironwood Insights as his expert witness. This is the company that he hired to do the survey for, to go around Idaho and ask what people thought of the case, right? To get a feel of the word on the street of whether people thought Lori was innocent or guilty or if they ever heard of the case or not. All right, so they're going to come and present their report on their survey. There's some issues with this we're going to get into in a minute, but for right now, this is here's what we're doing. So he has this filing, and he I don't know why. He took screenshots of their website and added that into. So if you want to go see them, it's ironwoodinsights.com. You can visit their website. Please do not harass this group, okay? But you can go view their website to see what they are. They're a research and design, data collection, and analytics and reporting firm, right? So they do this kind of stuff a lot. They do it for marketing. They do it for trials. They do it for all kinds of stuff, whatever you hire them for. So you can see all of these images. They're just screenshots from the website. They're not very well done. They're sort of, I don't know why we have them over each other, but whatever. Nothing really exciting there. But now we know who did the survey and that they are going to be brought as a witness, not just a witness, an expert witness for the change of venue hearing. There's problems with that, though. And we'll get to that in just a minute. Okay, so the next filing that I'm going to put up on your screen, this is a supplemental declaration. And let me go over here and put it up on the screen. Give me 1 second. Chrome tab. All right. Supplemental declaration of Mark L. Means in support of motion for order directing attorney-client privilege communications. Now, we already had this hearing. Judge already made his ruling, but Mark filed this supplemental declaration just to give more information to the court. What he says here is that in the 3rd week of January 2021, which was just recently, he drove to Madison County to meet with his client at the Madison County Detention Center in Rexburg, Idaho. He was denied access to his client in the attorney-client room. When asked why, I was told by a deputy that I needed a court order to such access. No further explanation, and I was denied communications with my client other than on the public phone, which has been an issue with recordings of violations of attorney-client privilege in the past, which we know about. That is true. He's not making that up. So he said he's unable to prepare a defense if he can't meet with his client. So he just added that to the court. Is the court going to do anything with it? I don't know, but we'll have to see. But this does seem to be an ongoing issue for him. So that was filing number 2. And now we have filing number 3. More clicking. So much clicking. All right, let's go to number 3 real quick. Number 3 is the second supplemental declaration of counsel Mark L. Means in support of the motion to compel. Now, this is in regards to the discovery issues that Mark Means is having with Rob Wood. We had the hearing on that. The judge made his ruling already. This is his supplemental declaration giving more information to the court. Basically, he's just pushing the fact that the Idaho Criminal Rules, Section 16, states that the attorney or defendant on whom a request has been served must file and serve a written response within 14 days of the service of that request. And the state failed. They missed it by 8 days. That's a big deal. Let's not, they missed it by a few hours or a day. 8 days before they replied. Because he failed to respond, Rob Wood technically has waived any objections to the request, and that's grounds for the imposition of sanctions by the court. So Mark Means is saying here that Wood should not be allowed to slow release discovery as he sees fit, attempt to hide his communications with prospective witnesses through waived objections, or should not be permitted to simply misapply ICR 16 and use said rule as a shield to prevent or undermine the release of relevant evidence to the defense. That's a lot of words. This is nothing different than we heard in court. He's saying, hey, he missed the filing deadline. He waived his right to object to it. Tell him to turn over the stuff. All right, we'll see what comes of that. And then, we have more filings. Now, the next 3 filings, these are by Rob Wood, because Rob Wood's not going to just let Mark Means do all the filings. He wants to get in on this too. So let's see what Rob Wood has to say. The first filing from Rob Wood is a motion for remote testimony. This is not a big deal. Rob Wood has an expert witness who will be coming to the change of venue hearing, Ms. Rhonda Harper. She's like a marketing type person. I'm not entirely sure what she does. It's kind of vague. Her CV was posted earlier, so if you want it is in Discord. She lives in Texas apparently, and he just wants her to be able to testify remotely instead of having to drive all the way to Idaho. All right, that's all that was. I'm sure the judge will make a simple ruling on that. Not a big deal. But next, we have the motion to compel from Rob Wood, because Mark Means is filing motions to compel, so Rob Wood should too, right? Why not? Let's all do it. I'm going to file a motion to compel myself. All right, so I'm going to put the amended motion to compel up on the screen because it's pretty much the same as the first one, only there are exhibits added to this. So let's read through this kind of quick because this is going to be a big argument. Deep breath. Here we go. The state of Idaho, by and through the Madison County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, acting as special prosecutor for Fremont County, moves the court for an order compelling defendant to answer the state's supplemental request for discovery from December 9th, 2020. Counsel for defendant Chad Daybell, that's John Pryor, provided the state with a report of a survey that he intends to enter into the motion to change venue. This was that Ironwoods Insight survey that we just talked about. Right. The individual who performed the survey refuses to name themselves except through protective pleadings. All right. How are you going to have an expert witness who won't even give you his name? That's curious, unless they do it through protective pleadings. On December 9th, 2020, the state filed a supplemental request for discovery and served it upon counsel for the defendant, Chad Daybell. Said supplemental request is attached as Exhibit 1. On or about December 21st, 2020, the defendant, Chad Daybell, responded to the state's specific request with a one-word response of none. Are you kidding me? Come on, Pryor, that's not cool. The defendant has refused to provide the state with the name of the witness and other requested information he is required to provide under the IRC 16. Again, we're talking about Idaho Rule of Criminal Procedure 16. We talk about that a lot, specifically Rule 705. The response is attached as Exhibit 2. To date, no reports, documents, or any items related to the alleged expert testimony or documents used to survey community residents have been supplied to the state other than the initial report listed above. So, basically, they want to bring in this expert witness, all the reports from Ironwood Insights, all this great information and data they collected about what people think about the case as evidence for their desire to get a change of venue hearing. But they don't want to give the state any of this information. It definitely does not work that way. So they've got an uphill battle with that. We'll see what that happens. Now, there is a hearing scheduled for this exact issue on March 10th. So certainly we're going to cover that live. So join in, because these hearings are always fun. We'll get to see John Pryor turn all red but Your Honor, I believe I am right in thinking I should be able to ask for more foundation. Whatever, typical John Pryor stuff. So we're going to hear that on the 10th. Now, this is a really interesting issue because the person who did the survey does not want to be named. He doesn't want his name associated with this case. I can't say I blame him for that. What are the procedures in place to allow him to keep himself shielded? Will I have to have a sealed hearing? Does he get protective pleadings? How is this going to work? We don't know. At least I don't know. So we're going to have to wait and see what the judge says about that. So that's what's going on there. They are fighting. They are arguing. They are going back and forth. Whew, man, these guys. So that's everything that was filed this week. All of these documents that I put up on the screen, all the PDF files are uploaded in Discord, so you can go and grab them yourself if you want to read through them or have a copy. There's really nothing new, nothing earth-shattering. I'm mostly interested in this argument about this defense expert witness that they don't want to tell Rob Wood who it is. I don't see how that works. I just don't get it. You can't ask the judge I want you to say that, yes, this guy is an expert in his field and, can testify to his opinion and all this stuff, but I'm not going to tell you his name. That's not going to happen. So, yeah. Oh, man, it's a mess. It's a mess. There's so much more behind the scenes bickering between both sides than there is actual progress in the pursuit of justice. And I think we're all getting frustrated about this. On both sides. It's not just the defense. It's also the prosecution. They're just going back and forth at each other. It's like, can y'all just put all your papers down on the table, switch tables, get everything you need, and let's move on with this. You both know you're supposed to be turning this stuff over. This shouldn't even be an argument. We shouldn't be able to have these motion to compels and all of this discovery. There's so many filings about discovery on both sides. It's like, why are we doing this? You both know at the end, everyone has to turn over everything to the other side. Just get it done. Just get it done. Can we please just skip all of this nonsense and get it done? So yes, I do get frustrated with a lot of these things, just like you guys do. As much as I say, try to be patient, try to understand justice and da-da-da-da-da. It is frustrating when it's just so dumb. This is dumb. This has nothing to do with the kids. This is just people fighting over expert witnesses and people fight, well, I want this paper and I want that. And he didn't give me that. And judge, he just said none. That's not a response. Da-da-da. It's just high school or something. Makes me nuts. So Miss Wee Lassie says, expert witness comes across as being utterly embarrassed having to work for the defense. It's possible. It's possible he just doesn't want his name associated with such a high-profile case, and who could blame him for that? So we don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to wait till March 10th. Flamely says, so they want Rob Wood to tell them all his witnesses, but they don't want Rob Wood to know who theirs is. It is childish. It is. They just are bickering back and forth. Jess says they need a get along t-shirt. Maybe we should print some up and send them to both of them. Or all three. Send one to Wood, one to Means, one to Pryor. We can all just get along, Yeah. So that's what's happening in the Vallow Daybell case. I'm sure there's going to be more next week. We, as much as I say, oh, things will be quiet now until such and such a date. No, they keep turning up with more crazy stuff to fight about. So we'll see what happens on Monday. Now, what I want to talk about, what I've been itching to talk about all day, is the 2020 episode from last night. Put a 1 in chat if you got to see the episode on ABC last night. Sorry, I had to have a drink and to mute my mic for a minute so I don't get yelled at for slurping my soda again. Jess saw it. Of course, Jess saw it. She saw it with us. A lot of these things that are aired on actual public TV, whenever possible, I'm going to do a watch party for them in Discord, because some people like in the UK can't see it, or they're on the wrong time zone or whatever. But keep an eye on Discord for stuff when this comes up. We can all watch it together. We can talk about it as it's happening. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, they put 5 clips from the documentary up on YouTube. The entire show was 2 hours long. So they only have like a little 5-segment teaser on their YouTube channel, but you can watch that If you didn't see it, you can probably see it on the ABC 2020 website, or maybe Hulu or something like that. So yeah, it was pretty good. As far as all the documentaries we've seen, obviously it's a lot of the same stuff. It's not anything new. I did learn one new thing from last night. I learned that Lori Vallow was on Wheel of Fortune. Did any of you guys know that before last night? I had never heard that before. Like, how did I miss this? And I did take some screenshots of it, but they look terrible because even the video that 2020 had, was very grainy and, pixelated. It doesn't look good. I don't know if there's any way we can find a nice original digital copy of that episode. I would love to have it. But yeah, it was really, really weird. Fuzzy Doxy says, it was so creepy. Like, Lori and Chad, you have a great possibility of dying. That's kind of creepy. Yeah. Yeah, she was on Wheel of Fortune. I don't know if she won or not. They just showed her talking to Pat Sajak, saying that she had a husband and beautiful kids, and they have 3 acres of land, and she had a happy life, and she looked really pretty and happy. And yeah, I did not know that she was on that show. Hold on. Jess is asking me a question. Jess, do you have your laptop or something set up to come on live with me in a little bit, and we can talk about that? I think that would be good to do together. Jess and I have a secret for you guys. So I'm just trying to arrange to see if she can come on with me. That would be cool. Let's see. Feeding It says, I wonder what Lori thinks about the moniker of the Gravedigger's wife. Somebody said in chat earlier that they thought the title of the show, The Gravedigger's Wife, was very rude to Tammy Daybell. Disrespectful of Tammy Daybell. I can see that point. I can. It was tough. People are saying that Lori won $17,000 or $25,000 on Wheel of Fortune. Wow, weird. How weird. She won $16,000. Okay, so she won some money. That's amazing. Huh. I don't know how I missed that. I've never seen a mention of that before. I was shocked. But yeah. Okay, so Jess is going to come on with me in a little while, and we're going to talk about some new things that we're cooking up back here. Harry says he's busy cooking. We'll watch later. Well, good. I'm glad you're here, Harry. And yeah, this will be available for replay, so you can watch it anytime. All right, now the Gravedigger's Wife title. I wasn't real comfortable with that. I thought it was a bit salacious, almost clickbaity. But technically, Lori was married to a man, I guess, married to a man that at one point was a gravedigger. So it's an honest title. I just don't think it was the most appropriate thing I've ever seen. But, that's what they do. That's what they do. Do we know if anyone died after her appearance? I don't know, Feeding It. I don't know. Yep, she would have to pay taxes on that. She won enough to pay means for one day of work. Well, sort of, but that was a long time ago. That was back when she was early in her marriage to Charles. So long before any of this ever happened. But Andrew says, Pat Sajak is lucky to be alive. Goodness. Oh. Yep, we learned that Alex had visited Hawaii with Lori, Tylee, and April Raymond. April Raymond was featured heavily in the show. She was Lori's friend that Lori made in Hawaii. I believe that she's here now. Isn't she in Idaho now? I don't know if she moved from Hawaii or just traveled to Idaho, but we've seen her in Idaho several times. Lisa Discover says, funny how it was the last title most of us would have used. Yeah, that is true. Definitely. So when we watched the show, it was 2 hours long. It was pretty much everything we've already heard before, but I really like the way they laid it out. I thought they followed a good timeline. They showed Summer Shiflett, which is Lori's sister, and Janice Cox early in the show, which now, from what I've heard, Annie Cushing released a statement this morning saying that when she recorded her segment for the show, it was a year ago, almost to the day. So it's possible that Janice and Summer and Melanie Pulowski, they did all of that interviewing also a year ago. We don't know how long ago it was, but I'm going to guess it was probably about the same time frame. So those recordings were made long before the children were found, or if we knew anything that we knew now. Would that have changed, what they said? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. Tastefully Fruit was asking, does anyone know why Colby moved to Rexburg? Apparently, Colby said God told him to. That's all we know. You'll have to ask Colby. He does have a YouTube channel that he's doing, so maybe you can drop a comment over there, and see if he's willing to answer that question. So, and Jess is messaging me. Okay, I'm going to send her a link as soon as I figure this out. So the episode, it should be up on the 2020 website. I think somebody said it was already up on Hulu. They have a few clips from it on the ABC YouTube channel, the 2020 YouTube channel. It was pretty just normal stuff. There was one new clip that I thought was very interesting that we've seen in the teasers. It was Lori after a pageant. She was giving a press conference or something, talking to a group of people, and she was explaining herself and her life. She said, well, I'm a mom, I'm a good worker, but it's hard to do all that at once. And I'm a ticking time bomb. And we're like, oh, good grief. No truer words were ever spoken, were they? So, yeah, that was very interesting. Wenda Lee says the episode is up on Hulu. So there you go. You can watch it there. Andrea K., that was a good comment. Janice said that they had cremated Alex and they had a very small private service, but they didn't invite anyone who thought he was a killer. And I'm like, that's a really weird thing to say. That is a very strange thing to say, considering that Alex, we know for sure, killed Charles. He admitted it. Self-defense or whatever, but, So he is a killer, was a killer. So is Janice just that deep into denial that she couldn't even admit that her own son was a killer when her own son said, yeah, I killed that guy? You know what I mean? So I think Janice is living in her own little happy pink bubble. You know what I mean? Oh, how not surprised were we when she referred to herself as a ticking time bomb? Yeah, it was like, yep, that's one of the few times Lori has spoken the God's honest truth. She definitely was a ticking time bomb back then. It was interesting to see how they showed the show really hit on how many marriages she's had. They even covered Nelson Yanes, which most people just ignore that and move on. They talked about Joseph. They talked about Charles. They went through all of that. They went through William LaJoya, even though they didn't really say his name, I don't think. Did they? I know that they said Nelson for Nelson Yanes. Number 2, they might have just said William or something, Colby's father. But they did not really get into the names of some of her ex-husbands that are actually still alive. So, one second, I need a drink. Okay. But yeah, I would suggest that you watch the show if you're following the case. Not because it's so much great new information, but, it just shows a different interview with Janice and Summer, so you get more of a feel of where they're coming from. It shows Melanie Pulowski, not very much, just saying a few words, but she looks so... Melanie Pulowski looks really sad to me. Her eyes and her whole facial expression. She just looks like she's exhausted. So that was interesting. Of course, Julie Rowe had to make an appearance. Julie Rowe cannot keep herself away from this. She wants to be part of this so bad. Anyone who wants to interview her, she will jump on it because it's getting her name out there. But she always plays herself off as a victim. She said, Chad told me I was Methuselah's wife and I was his wife in a previous life. It's like, oh, can you stop trying to attach yourself to this case any way possible? Julie Rowe makes me a little crazy. So, yep, she was there. Cookie says, all of these people are so bizarre. It's really true. It's really true. Normally in cases when we follow them, the parents or family members or friends, they're all normal, trying to figure out how the person that they know went crazy and murdered people. In this situation, they're all crazy. I mean, goodness. Thankfully, the show also showed Kay and Larry Woodcock, who are not crazy. Thank goodness there are some sane people involved in this. Annie Cushing was on. Kay and Larry Woodcock were in it. You know how I feel about the Woodcocks. I wish that they would adopt me. It's like they're my missing parents that I should have had or something. They're wonderful. It's heartbreaking to watch them though, but they're tough. They're some tough cookies, and they're going to get through this, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be okay. They certainly have all of our love and support. So they were there in the documentary as well. But my goodness, I'm checking over chat. It never occurred to me their ex-husband's still alive. Yeah, Nelson Yanes is still alive. I'm not sure where he is. William LaJoya is alive. Last I checked, he was in jail here in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm not sure why. I didn't dig into his record or nothing like that. That's none of my business. He might even be out now. I don't know. So he is very much alive. And that's it. Yeah. And then we know Chad, her other husband that's alive, and we know right where he is, don't we? What do these women see in Chad? I don't see anything attractive about him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wish they'd give Kay Woodcock 5 minutes alone with Lori. Well, yeah, I can understand that sentiment. Mm-hmm. Marie says, I'm so tired of Julie Rowe. Attention is all she's craving. It makes me sick. I love Kay and Larry. Thank God she made that welfare check. Much love. Yeah, absolutely. If Kay, imagine if Kay had not called for a welfare check on JJ. When would we have ever found out those kids were missing and subsequently gone? You know, how long would they have gotten away with it? Would they have just gone to Hawaii and that would have been the end of it? Would anyone have ever found out? So, yes, thank God for Kay Woodcock. Janet says, a good timeline, but Janice had me befuddled. Something about her eyes in relation to Alex's funeral. She looked to the side, then looked down. She looked disgusted from what I observed. I'll have to watch it again to check her face, but yeah, Janice is an interesting character. Nope, Hot Scorpio, we're about to get to Letecia. Just wanted to wrap up. Any other comments about the 2020 documentary last night? The Letecia thing is something else. All right. Leticia Stauch had a hearing yesterday, right? An Arguello advisement. All right. Now, what this is, it's called that because there was a case, the state versus Arguello, or Arguello, as some call it, where the defendant was allowed to represent himself. So she had this hearing yesterday. Now, it was not broadcast, right? So I don't have any video of it, but there were a bunch of reporters in the courtroom. Letecia did attend the courtroom in person. Al Stauch was there in the gallery. Some of the defense attorneys were present. Some were appearing via Zoom. There were family members watching via Zoom, all of this kind of stuff. So here's what happened. They go in the courtroom. Letecia was shackled. She looked terrible. You know, there was, I think I saw 1 or 2 pictures of her. And she, through her attorney, informed the court that she wants to represent herself. Okay, I mean, oh, goodness gracious. And then her attorney said that, you know, if the court wants an explanation, they'd have to seal the hearing. The judge considered that for a moment and decided, nah, we don't need to seal the hearing. So they go on, and the judge explains the difference between wanting a different defense attorney and representing herself. And Letecia keeps saying, yes, sir, that she understands. Now, when it comes to representing yourself, appearing pro se, you do have a constitutional right to do that, okay? But the judge can make a decision about it based on his discretion. And there are several factors that play into it, like the age of the defendant, their mental competency, which, you know, Letecia had 2 competency hearings and both said that she's competent. So there's that. They can look at how well they understand the English language, because that's very important in these types of cases. So there's a bunch of things the judge can look at when he's making his determination if he's going to allow this defendant to represent themselves. So he's going through all of these things, questioning her, right, to see, you know, to make his determination. But before we got to anything good, the judge had to stop the hearing because somebody was live streaming the video conference. Now, we don't know who that was. Could have been a family member or something who was watching it, but somebody was live streaming. And I was like, oh, I wish I had known that because I could have grabbed some video of it. But we don't know who it was. But the judge had to stop the hearing. They had to fix that. And then they continued. Now, the judge asked all the routine questions, you know, of all the different things that we just talked about. And T was answering, saying she understands. She said, no, she didn't have any legal experience, obviously. And the judge said that, you know, an attorney would be an expert and have more experience than she does. And Letecia says to the judge, I've come to find that the word expert doesn't hold much value. I'm the expert here. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh, good grief. So she said, you know, I think I could do it on my own, sir. It's my constitutional right. And the judge is like, oh, here we go. So Leticia told the judge that she can read legal books to learn the basics of legal representation. And the judge says, but as of right now, you can't do this. And he was very stubborn and, I can do this, da-da-da. Now, here's a quote, a rough quote that we got from Spencer Wilson, who was a reporter inside the courtroom. And T said, "Sir, I know it sounds audacious, but I was very good at poker. You got to know when to hold them or when to fold them. I wouldn't be this confident without an ace in the hole." Like, really? This is her justification for wanting to represent herself, was that she knows a Kenny Rogers song and she plays poker and she has an ace in the hole. I'm like, oh, well, I guess this is really good for the state. Makes their job easier. Oh, so the judge was very patient and trying to explain to Leticia why experts are actually experts. And the judge even said at one point, "Did you ever go to a dentist? Constitutionally, you do have the right to bring a drill to your own teeth. Does that mean you shouldn't go to an expert like a dentist, Oh, it's crazy. It's just crazy." So another point that she brought up during this hearing was that she seems to be having issues with privileged communications with her attorneys. Where have we heard that before? That seems to be a theme right now in a lot of cases. These are not the only two cases I'm hearing that in, where privileged communications are being denied or just very difficult to attain because of the COVID restrictions in the jails. All right, so that's something to keep in mind. So she brought that up and they discussed that for a little bit. But moving forward, Leticia said that the reason she wanted to be her own attorney was that her attorneys have been fine, but the jail has been blocking her from getting the evidence. Everything has not been secret. I don't know what she means by not been secret. But she said that some other inmates heard her during her last meeting, so I guess that would mean she hasn't had private communications with her attorney. So she brought that up. And then she says, now, this is the fun part. She said that she wanted to waive the next hearing. I'm like, what next hearing? Oh, she wants to waive her preliminary hearing. And I'm like, okay, probably not the brightest move you could make. But this kind of broke the court. Okay, that her saying she wanted to waive the hearing broke the court because the judge is like, I don't know if we can. And the state's like, I don't think we can waive that hearing because it's not a simple, normal preliminary hearing. This is a proof, evident, presumption, great hearing. All right, that makes it a little bit different, makes it a little bit more important. And they actually had to discuss this, between the judge and the state and everything to see if there's even a legal basis for waiving that type of a hearing. And they don't know yet. I think that's still up in the air. Okay, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. But Leticia starts asking for all the evidence in her case, right? And the DA says that there are 30,000 pages of discovery, and it would be hard for anybody to catch up so far in this case. But I'm thinking she doesn't need to catch up. She did it. She knows everything that happened. Whatever. But we'll see. We'll see what happens up. But the DA was saying, she's too far behind the 8 ball as far as being her own representation. Words? But being her own representative as a lawyer, she's so far behind the discovery that it will take her a long time to catch up. So there are probably going to be delays, on and on and on. But Leticia says that she doesn't care how much info there is to go over. She's ready. And she says, yes, sir, I'm a professional. I know how this works. Oof, goodness. Now, the judge also came forth and warned her that if she was removed from the court, say for her behavior, right? If she was acting out in the courtroom, they had to remove her under contempt or something like that. The trial still goes on without her. That's really bad for a defendant. Okay. But she says, yes, sir. And she said, I'm a believer of Christ. This is what I'm confident in. Like, okay. All right. And another quote that comes from Spencer Wilson, Leticia saying, sir, I understand that, but I'm so confident in 2 pieces of evidence that no science or scientist could refute. And the judge says, well, don't tell them to us right now. And the judge says, isn't it fair to say that evidence won't come in? And Leticia says, it will. And the judge says, well, that's a big gamble, wouldn't you say? And Leticia says, I wouldn't say so. So the judge says, well, if I do grant this, you might not be able to take it back. Do you understand? And Leticia says, yes, sir. So she says that her final answer is that she wants to represent herself. But the judge, being smart, says, how about if I give you some time to consider your request after reviewing all the information and evidence? And Leticia asked the judge if the DA can force the evidence hearing, the prelim, that she wants to waive. And the judge says, probably, but he can't decide that just yet. So the judge is granting Leticia more time to talk to her lawyers before the final decision. And they move to a private area to talk about it. Okay. Now, the hearing that T wanted to waive is the prelim. And we know from the Vallow case how important those are. And even if she chooses to waive it, as Lori did, in some cases, the state can still present their evidence without her. How that works, I don't know. I don't understand that, but we'll try to find out. But she is determined. She wants to waive this hearing. She wants to represent herself. She has these two pieces of information that science cannot refute, and they're going to clear her name. And she knows how to play poker, and she's got this, Judge. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So after their break, well, Leticia was talking with attorneys. They came back and they said that Leticia spoke with her attorneys about the issue. And between 75 years of legal experience of everyone in the courtroom, none of us knew the answer if she could waive the prelim. None of us could answer that question. And so the judge says, I shudder to think how someone who's not trained in the law would have handled something like that. Right? Oh, Amanda, thank you so much for the super chat. That is a great sticker. I love that. I love those stickers so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. I really appreciate that. That is great. All right, where was it in our story? Yeah, the judge says, all of us here, we have 75 years of combined legal experience, and we don't know what to do with this hearing question. How would you have handled that? You don't even know what the law is, So, it's just crazy. The defense attorney for Leticia says that the judge can't issue an evidence hearing if the defendant wants to waive it, but they're still debating that, so we don't know what's going to happen. The judge notes that this is not an ordinary prelim. It's a proof evident presumption great hearing, which is a big deal, and the judge thinks a waiver of those hearings is an admission that the proof is evident and that the presumption is great, but he doesn't have an exact answer on whether she can move it. But if the judge is right, and I'm waiving the prelim, and that turns into I'm admitting that the proof is evident and the presumption is great, that's really bad for her case. Really, really bad for her case. And she doesn't even get that. You know that saying that goes, you don't know what you don't know? This is an absolute example of that. She has no idea what's coming down the line for her legally because she thinks she's smart. She thinks she's got it all figured out. And she's going to learn that the hard way real quick. So the preliminary hearing may continue because of the proof evident presumption, but it takes a different tone than a normal prelim. And Alan, who is the DA, says his team is doing research on that topic. But ultimately, the bottom line is that they can't give Leticia an answer whether she can waive it yet. So we're going to have to wait for that. Oh, it's crazy. Leticia says that she still wants to represent herself even after all of this. And the judge reminds her that she can wait to decide that until after the hearings. But she wants to go forward right now. She's ready. The judge says if Leticia waives the hearings, it may be that you're stipulating to proof evident presumption great, and you may be convicted at trial. The judge is telling her straight up, don't do this because right there, you're done, and Leticia's like, right? So as the judge sees it at this point in time, Leticia knows all of her obligations. The court can't say if that's a wise decision. Okay, the court finds that Leticia Stauch has waived her right to counsel, making a knowing, voluntary, and intelligent decision to do so. That's a quote from one of the reporters that was actually in the courtroom. So the judge says, all right, what he's going to do is he's going to appoint an advisory counsel for Leticia. So he's going to give her a court-appointed lawyer, not to run the case, but to help her get the case together and possibly to stand in the event that T is removed from the court for behavior or missing appearances. All right, so it's kind of like a safety net, if T gets kicked out, because we know she acts up. If she acts up and gets kicked out of the courtroom, at least there'll be an attorney there to go forward with her side of the case. Now, after all this is getting wrapped up, Leticia's current lawyers asked the judge, like, can we cut ties with her? Are we done? Please, can we go? And the judge says, no, not yet. We got to work this out. So they have to have more chit chat, more conversation. They're determining the big issue at the end of this was how are they going to get all the discovery to the law library in the jail for T to review and access. So are they going to do it digitally? The DA says, do you want me to print out 30,000 pages? That's going to take a long time, and she certainly has restrictions at the jail. She can't just have all this stuff in her cell or, they have to work all of that out. So what they're going to do is there's going to be a status conference for these issues on March 5th. All right. So that's coming up in just a few days. That gives them a week to work on it to see how they're going to go forward with all the discovery and getting it to her, how she's going to be able to access it, and the progress. So we'll hear more about that on March 5th. But the judge, finally at the end of it, granted the defense's motion to withdraw. And you can bet any money that those lawyers got in their car and, pulled wheelies out of that parking lot, getting out of there so fast. Like, thank God we're free. Get me out of here. So that's what happened yesterday. Leticia Stauch is officially representing herself in her murder trial. They had a press conference after the hearing where we saw the district attorney and Al Stauch was there with him. And at one point, Spencer Wilson, the reporter who was covering it, said to him, so how happy are you? I assume that this is going to make your case a lot easier. And of course, Alan was like, dude, I can't answer that. Come on, But they did not look upset. The district attorney did not look the least bit upset by this news at all. So, take that for what you will. But can you imagine the arrogance of this woman to think that she really can represent herself in a first-degree murder charge? This is not traffic court. You know what I mean? This is first-degree murder. Give me 1 second. I have to fix my shirt. I'm really hot, so I'm going to take off my big fuzzy white sweatshirt. Oh, that's better. Plainly says, so she's going to end up convicting herself. Yeah, no doubt. Because, the average person has no idea what the difference is between a preliminary hearing and a proof evident presumption great layer on top of that hearing. She has no idea. I don't know. All I know is that sounds really bad. Right. And even the judge told her, hey, if you waive this, you're going to get convicted. Right. And she's like, I don't care. I can do it. It's, oh, good grief, woman. There are reasons that we actually have lawyers, and getting a law degree is a challenge. You have to work really hard at it. So Leticia thinks she has a doctorate in something, education or whatever. So, whew. Man alive. Yes, I think the last thing we want to do is introduce her to Mark Means. No, that would not be fair to Mark Means, honestly. Oh, so yeah, Leticia's going to be her own lawyer. Can you imagine it? I can't. But we'll be following that, and we actually have some news about the following of that case. And let me go find Jess. Where's Jess Nelson?
Go close the door.
Oh my God, it's Jess Nelson. You're live.
I'm here.
Hi, Jess.
Hey guys.
How are you doing?
Okay.
I can hear you fine.
Great. I'm good. I had a good day. My husband ended up being off work, so we had a pretty late birthday date kind of deal. Ate some good food. Spent some money. The normal.
Excellent. That sounds wonderful.
Yep.
I'm so glad. And you got a new computer today, you said?
Brand new.
All right. We're going to have fun with that this week.
Yeah.
So, Jess, you and I have been talking about some stuff. And
Lots of stuff.
So I thought maybe you want to talk about some of that stuff now that you're here in person.
All righty. I think the plan is on my Jess Nelson account on YouTube, I am going to cover the Gannon Stauch case.
Yay! I'm excited about that. Yeah, we decided that I really don't want to follow 10, 20 cases at once. I really do. I want to focus on one and do a really good job with that. But the Gannon Stauch case is not a case that we can let go of. We are too invested in this case and wanting justice for Gannon. So Jess, I'm like, well, why don't you cover it? You know this case inside out, up and down and backwards. So she's going to cover it on the Jess Nelson channel, but we're going to work together. Both of our channels are really going to work together on all this stuff. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, I am too. I'm glad the case is moving again. It kind of stalled out there for a little while. But yeah, I'm excited to cover it.
Oh, we have a
Get
birthday in
something new.
chat. Happy birthday, Leah. Yay,
Happy
Leah.
birthday.
Excellent. Birthdays are fun. So what do you think about Leticia representing herself?
Oh, this is going to be a dumpster fire. 3-ring circus. My immediate reaction was she's going to give Ted Bundy a run for his money on worst defense ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a 3-ring circus. She might get married in the middle of it. Like, who knows? Who even knows? Eduardo might come make an appearance about day 2. We're not sure.
Yep.
But I can promise you it's going to get ugly. It will.
Right.
I think she will absolutely torture Landon and Al because she can. I think she will on the stand. I don't know if she'll call them as witnesses and make them look terrible or, make the story sound worse than it was. I mean, there's no telling what she's going to do, but I can promise you it'll be a 3-ring circus.
Yeah, I was thinking about that a lot yesterday afternoon because imagine that you are Landon, Gannon's mom, and maybe you are a witness in the case and you have to be on the stand. How fair is it to the victims that Leticia gets to cross-examine them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they get subjected to that from her. I have a big problem with that.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's
sure
hard
what
to
the law
think
is.
about,
But
yeah. But I mean, you have the right to face your accuser. I mean, granted, if they are, called for the state, her cross examination can only cover whatever they asked in direct.
Mhm.
So, I mean, she can't go crazy out of bounds that way. But if she calls him as a witness for her, which wouldn't put it past her,
Yeah,
she
I
can
do think
ask
that
him
is.
whatever she wants.
Yeah, I think that is part of her motivation, the
Yeah, I
chance
do
to be able
too.
to do that.
I
And
do too.
it's just disgusting. It's victimizing them all over again. I think it's senseless. However, there is a part of me that thinks this is never going to get that far. It's not going to get that
Yeah,
far. Something's going to happen. Maybe the judge will intervene and she'll have to have the attorney. Maybe she'll get kicked out of court for contempt because she's crazy and she'll do something crazy dramatic in the courtroom. Maybe it just won't get that far. That's what I'm hoping.
Well, if the DA, because of when the crime happened and when she was charged, technically they could file death penalty charges. I know there's a moratorium on, execution and stuff in Colorado, and they're not doing all that junk anymore, but she does fit the time window. If they do that, they'll have to give her a lawyer. There's no
Right.
way. I don't think she can represent herself. I could be wrong about that. I'll have to look at it because the girl in Georgia, I always forget her name. It's Tiffany somebody, had a trial summer before last, and she represented herself. She starved her stepdaughter to death, and it was a death penalty case. She represented herself. She cross-examined no one. She entered no evidence. She brought no witnesses. I mean, she did nothing but sit at the table, and that was it. And she was convicted and given the death penalty.
Yep.
And there were actually lawyers that had left her case, filed all kinds of injunctions because they set her death date within like 2 months of the end of the trial. It's been held up, but they're still trying to say she shouldn't have been allowed to represent herself in a death penalty case. So I don't know where that's going.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that Leticia is going to pull. Well, what I think happened was she has her idea of these 2 pieces of evidence in her mind that are going to completely exonerate her. I have a feeling that she wants to get rid of her attorneys because they were like, no, that's crazy. You can't use that. That's not evidence. And they've been fighting this whole time about these amazing pieces of evidence. And so she's going to try and introduce them. Although the judge even foreshadowed that by saying, that's a big gamble thinking you're going to get those evidences in because I don't think that's happening. you know?
Yep.
So, oh, it's just going to be a nightmare. But I do want to see if she calls her peanut butter to the stand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I mean, she was threatened by that peanut butter. So surely,
Absolutely.
you
Is
know.
it chunky or smooth? That's what I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or powdered. Maybe they should switch her to like cashew butter or tahini or something. I'm not real sure.
But I mean, you could see her bringing that into court. Look, here's my peanut butter. This threatening message was inside of it. Look, Your Honor. I mean,
Yeah.
you can just see this happening.
You
Oh
know,
my
the other
goodness.
the other person that she's really gonna torture will be her daughter Harley.
You think so?
Well, the girl is what, 18? She might be 19 by now or getting
Mhm.
close to it. You know, she's gonna call her. She's probably gonna drive her crazy.
Do you know how
There's no
hard that would
telling.
be for Harley? Because Harley's
Exactly.
going to be a state's witness. So she'll be called up on the stand by the state.
Yep.
The state will do their questioning. And then her own mother is going to try and impeach her character on the stand.
Yep.
I mean, I can't imagine how Harley's going to deal with that. I hope that there's a way the judge can intervene. And, I'm all about fair trials and all this and that. But
Yep.
adding that level of trauma to a victim, that's not okay with
I
me.
mean, she already completely, changed her life or whatever. She was, getting in the military.
Yeah.
It doesn't do so well on your background check if your parent is a felon.
Right.
So I don't think she actually went into the military. I think she moved back over to the East Coast with her other family and
Yep. Harley
just
does
doing
have a
her
YouTube channel
thing.
that she posts
She
on.
does.
She seems to be doing really well. She seems to have a really positive attitude and really be working on herself and her life. So, my goodness, please just let her go on with that and not have to go through a court hearing being cross-examined by her murderous mother, Oh.
But you've got to feel sorry for Harley. She
Mm-hmm.
lost her dad years ago. Her dad was killed in a car accident, motorcycle accident, I believe. Maybe it wasn't a motorcycle, maybe it was a car. I'm thinking Harley because that's her name. It was an accident, from what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So she hasn't had a dad. She's had to live with this crazy mom of hers for 18 years, and now, her stepdad and her are divorced or really close to it, and now she's lost her little siblings. I mean,
Yep.
her life is her family is gone.
Yep. She's all alone. She's completely alone.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she has other family, well, I hope, in her life that are positive influences, but it's been bad enough for her. She doesn't need to go through that.
And now look at it, and if she's going to drag her to court, and however long this is going to take, people will know who she is, know what she looks like. I mean, when it all happened, a lot of people were really, oh, she had to know, she had to have helped. It's just sad. It's
Yeah.
sad.
I'm going
She's
to
just as much of a victim as the other kids were.
I'm going to interrupt the topic for a second. I just put a link. A lot of people are asking about Discord in chat. There's a link right now that I just put with the star on it. If you click that link, it's going to take you to a website that's going to ask you to download the Discord app, whether it's a phone, PC, tablet, whatever. You can put it on everything. Download the app. You're going to have to create a user account, make your name, so use your email address, set a password that you won't forget. That's a big thing. And then you'll launch the app. It will install it. You log in. And then if it doesn't take you directly into my Discord server, click that link again, and it will bring you right to the right server. Okay, so that's all you got to do. It's really simple. Once you get there, all the mods are there, and they can help you get going and start learning how to navigate. And there's even a video I have up in Discord about how to use Discord. So watch that. That should help you too. So that should answer all your Discord questions. Sorry to interrupt you there, Jess.
No, you're fine. Yep. There is no telling what all is going to come out in this trial,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how, if they were watching her like they said they were, how in the world did she get from Colorado to Florida with a dead kid in the car?
Mm-hmm.
That's some backbone to drive a dead kid around from coast to coast, basically. That's crazy to
Definitely.
me. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I am so curious to hear what she thinks these two pieces of evidence are. Now, chances are we may never hear it. It may never
Yeah.
get to the point where she can introduce it in open court. I'm sure they're going to fight about that. So, I don't have access to all of the documents in that case like I do in the Vallow case. So I don't know how to get access. I don't know if we can. I'd like to. So we'll look into that. And when Jess starts covering the case, we'll try to get all of that stuff. Because, boy, I want to know what she thinks she's got, because I can't imagine anything that could exonerate her. Not a single thing.
I can't either. I mean, I just can't. Unless she's going to try to frame somebody else, But
Yep.
she'll have to announce that before trial, because the state gets to put a case against that too. So who knows? There is no telling. But I really think she'll give Ted Bundy a run for his money. I'm crazy.
Robin Lane says one of them is probably her fake polygraph results. Remember
Oh
that?
gosh, I
My
forgot about
goodness.
that.
Oh,
Wonder if
goodness
she was mad she never got her money back. What a crazy.
And Harry
What
Kohler
a
just joined the
crazy.
team. Thank you so much for joining, Harry. Welcome to the team. Very glad to have you
Yay.
aboard. Now, one of the other things, Jess, that I wanted to ask you about,
Oh
and I
no.
probably should ask you privately, but since you're here,
Yeah.
one of the things I'd like to do going forward, I really want to get back to Toxic Bliss. I want to finish the podcast, but I also want to do a weekly members live stream for members and patrons where we really get into the narcissism stuff. And I
Okay.
want you to do that with me, because you and I are an unstoppable force when it comes to narcissists.
Yep, we
And I
are.
think that would be awesome. So
That sounds
hopefully
good.
we'll take this week. We'll get your computer all set up, get all the software you need, get everything going. We'll
Yeah.
blitz out the links to the channel so you guys can sub there. And we got so much to do. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
But I this Vallow case has got me in its teeth,
I
because
know.
I'm actually starting to get a little bit nervous. And I don't want to say this. From day one, I've been like, they've got this. Don't worry. Charges are coming. Everybody relax. It's going to be fine. I'm actually starting to get a little bit nervous. Are you? Or is it just me?
I'm really surprised we don't have charges yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really surprised. And I don't know. Yeah, one thing that came up last night in the during the 2020 thing, somebody was saying, "Do you think one will turn against the other, and why haven't they already?" And the reason they haven't already is they don't need to. There are no murder charges. I mean, if they're found guilty of everything, the top is 10 years, and they've already served one.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's no reason for them to have flipped on each other yet. But when those charges come, Lori will be driving that bus, backing over and running him over again.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, you didn't talk about that. Last the crazy little psychologist that said that Chad was
Oh my goodness. That was
look,
funny.
I laughed. Antisocial personality.
Right.
Yeah,
Not
no,
at all. Yeah, no is what our answer to
not a
that
bit.
one. Yeah,
No.
we'll have to do an episode simply on our opinions of our I can't even talk tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Our psychoanalysis of Chad and Lori and the dynamic between them, because it is not what most people think, as far as I'm concerned.
No.
Certainly not what that guy on TV said last night.
Oh my
Chad
God. That was
Chad
so.
doesn't show any signs of antisocial behavior, except perhaps the lack of empathy in his ability to dispose of the children like that, assuming he did it. Presumably, we have to say that. But
Right.
we have a lot
And
of other
he's
thoughts
not
on
a
that.
narcissist for like the 500th time. He is not a
Nope,
narcissist.
nope.
I'm standing by my joke last night. He's the reason they took Mister off the potato head box this week.
It is quite possible.
Yeah,
Oh.
the chinless wonder, Chad Daybell.
Yeah, and there we
My
have our
gosh.
Mr. Potato Head emojis, because we have to have those for this case.
Yeah.
So what's coming up in Vallow? We know that we have the motion to compel hearing on the 10th. We have the change of venue on the 22nd. We're probably going to have all kinds of stuff in between, because for some reason they are going to litigate this case in pretrial procedural crap between now.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a chance in heck that this case is actually going to court in June or July. I
Oh,
don't think
no
that's going to
way.
happen.
No way. I think they'll get the change of venue though, don't you?
Oh, I think they should.
Yeah.
Honestly, I agree that they're going to need a change of venue. I don't think Boise's far enough. I don't know if there are procedures in place for it to go out of state even.
Hmm.
I think it's that bad. But we'll have to see what the judge thinks. Certainly the report from Ironwood Insights is going to be interesting
Yeah.
to see what they find. I'm pretty sure we know what they're going to find. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And my big question, what I'd like to ask, like the defense team, is do you think that having this trial in a very LDS heavy area is going to help or hurt your case? I could kind of see it going both ways.
Oh, it's going to hurt.
I would lean towards hurting because people who truly follow the LDS faith are not going to appreciate these crazy people dragging them through the mud,
No.
you know? So we'll have to see what happens with that.
Are you surprised they haven't released Tammy's autopsy yet?
No, because I think that they're not. First, I don't think they're going to release it publicly, period,
You don't?
until it goes to trial. But what we're going to see is we're going to see charges. So maybe he's just finalizing that up. Maybe it was natural causes. I would not believe that. Certainly, I think they would have just come out and said that.
Yeah, I mean,
know.
because they did Alex,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yep.
it seems like if there was anything, they'd hold it. Like if they had thought Alex's was weird, they would have held it back. Seemed like to me,
Yep.
but who knows?
Mm-hmm. So I am concerned about the current charges. I do. My brain is starting to formulate what I think the defense strategy is going to be for Lori, which is going to be very different from Chad's defense for just the current charges. And I'm concerned about that. I'm worried because I kind of see a plausible scenario coming out on Lori's side that's going to be hard for the state to refute unless they have a lot more evidence that we haven't seen, like text messages from Lori and Alex and Chad about, okay, it's time to get rid of the kids or something like that, something really obvious and inculpatory. I don't know if they've got that. We don't know. They could. They certainly aren't telling us everything they have, but in the absence of those things, I'm concerned.
What do you think if they hadn't got caught? If somebody had, like, if she had successfully cut all ties with the Woodcocks and they'd never called in the check-in for JJ, what do you think would have happened next?
Um,
Them not on the run, no pressure on them, just
I think
natural
they would have been
event.
in Hawaii for a long time. And I think the people that they knew in Hawaii would have bought their story about, oh, the kids are wherever they were going to say. Lori had spent years developing this story about Kay Woodcock being after the kids, or at least after JJ, right? And she spun that stale, like with her little narcissist manipulator tendrils,
Yeah.
convincing everyone around her that Kay was the bad guy and going after JJ. Kay was going to kidnap him. She stole his money. She did this. She did that. So she had victimized or villainized Kay to everybody that knew her. So those people might have bought her story that the kids were in hiding with a friend or something. So I think they would have gotten away with it at least for a much, much longer time if Kay had not made that phone call.
I wonder what, because Lori had started to spin she had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
I wonder if she would have told people she had cancer and JJ was whatever. I think they would have killed more people.
Oh, sure they would have.
I
Because
think
they would
I
have gotten
think
away with so many.
Melanie I think Melanie Gibb and maybe David could have been next. And I think if they could have gotten away with it, they would have said that that's who had JJ and Tylee.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they were.
Yep. Now,
And
Rowan,
nobody would have known the difference.
to you asked a good question in chat. I have one big question I really wish someone knew the answer to. Why haven't Tylee and JJ's remains been released for burial? Tylee's autopsy is
That's
not complete as far as I know. Correct?
they never do that until after the trial because if something comes up, they don't want to have to dig them back up.
Yep.
If you watch the cheerleader case, Skylar Richardson, they kept her baby the whole time until they didn't release it till after her trial was done.
Mm-hmm.
That's normal. That's why you usually see cases like this that have they have memorial services or whatever.
Yep. And
Because
certainly,
they didn't even bury Gannon yet, right? They just had a memorial. They still
yeah.
have Gannon too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Woodcocks have said that once the remains are released, they will have an actual formal memorial service and burial. So,
Yeah.
and I would like to attend that, not to film it or to stream it, but just to be there to be like, I love you guys. I've been following
Yeah.
this since we first heard about it, and
God, that'd be
I don't know.
heavy though, you know?
It would be.
Oh, man.
It would
That'd
be
be really hard.
gut wrenching, but to see the kids finally be laid at rest is
Yeah.
something that kind of closure is something I really want to be part of. So
Yeah.
hopefully that will happen.
Road trip.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone think Lori actually believes she released her children's souls from limbo? Such little remorse. I
No.
can't tell you what I think she genuinely believes, but I certainly think that is going to be a very big part of her defense. Whether she genuinely believes it or not, that's
Well,
anyone's guess.
I can
But
tell you she doesn't believe half of that crap she was spewing beforehand now. Because you had better believe she's eating and sleeping in jail.
mm-hmm.
That whole crap about she doesn't have to sleep, she doesn't have to eat, she doesn't have to wear clothes. Girl
Right.
needs some Botox and some concealer, something awful.
Oh, goodness.
Oh my goodness, she's a nut.
Cement Shoe says Andrew, feels that Lori hated Tylee. I don't think Lori hated Tylee, but I do think that there was some contention growing in their relationship toward the end. And I think Melanie Gibb had a strong dislike of Tylee, which I
Melanie
find
Gibb was
awfully suspicious.
jealous of Tylee.
Mm-hmm.
I would lay money on that. She was
Yep.
jealous.
I agree.
Tylee was a means to an end. She knew she was going to get rid of JJ, and she knew to get rid of JJ, she'd have to get rid of Tylee first.
Yep.
And she did. And then JJ was right after because she couldn't handle JJ without Tylee.
Hmm. Oh, well, I hope we find out. So we were talking about this last night while we were watching the documentary. I do hope that this case goes to trial, mainly because we need all the answers. If they plead down and they confess and take a lesser punishment, it's not going to go to trial, and we're not going to ever get these answers. And that's going to be very hard for the amount of people in the public that are invested in this case to never get those answers. And we saw that with the Watts case.
Yeah, it'll
Right?
go
People are
conspiracy
still,
crazy.
yes,
Yeah.
people are still fighting about what happened in the Watts case because there's a vacuum left with all the questions that went unanswered. So people have to fill those answers with something, and they're coming up with some crazy stuff. I really hope that does not happen in this case. I'm concerned about that.
The sad part is there is no answer. Like, there isn't a plausible, believable, acceptable answer for anything that happens like this.
Well,
So
not for
just
why it
crazy.
happened,
Yeah.
but still
Yeah.
the cause and manner of death of both children, I want to know. I want to know who actually killed the children.
I want to know who out of this bunch of wahoos. I mean, when we found out that Tylee was dismembered, that really threw me for a loop. I mean, you could be evil, but that's a whole nother head game. Somebody that's able to do that.
Yep. It is not easy to dismember a human body.
No.
Physically, it's not easy, but also emotionally and psychologically, it takes a very specific kind of person to be able to do that.
And I wouldn't have pegged any of the players in this as that.
Nope.
By past behavior. And then they killed again. I mean, that's the crazy part. They went on and killed JJ,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Becky says they're going to blame Alex no matter who did it. It doesn't matter if they blame Alex, because if they prove the conspiracy between them, the conspiracy to commit murder charges will carry the same penalty as if it was first-degree murder. So that's not a big deal.
They've done it stupidly. If they've dismembered a person, there's a crime scene. That happens somewhere, and that's not easy to clean up.
Mm-hmm.
If it's in one of the buildings that was in the backyard or wherever, they'll find what they did it with. There will be evidence there. They will find out who did it.
Yep.
And with JJ, the amount of duct tape that they talk about, that's not easy to get away with either.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be fingerprints. There's going to be hair. There'll be skin cells
Fibers,
that
all kinds of
you
stuff. Yeah.
just can't. That's hard to get away with. And they'll know who bought the daggone trash bags. We'll
Mm-hmm.
have some stupid video from Walmart before it's over with,
Yep.
guaranteed. With whatever box dye she uses to buy her hair when she bought them,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. They'll
Yep.
get them.
We've seen that
They'll
in
get
so
'em.
many cases where garbage bags were used or duct tape was used, and they can trace it down to what store it was sold at. You know,
Yep.
the type of garbage bag, the lot number, the this and that. And then they pull the surveillance video and then you see who's buying it. And you're like, wow, I didn't think you could trace a
Every
garbage bag
time.
like that. But you really can. They did that in Fotis Dulos. They did that in that Florida case that we saw. So many cases. They've
Yep.
been be able to track these things to the point where they can pinpoint exactly who bought it, when, and where. And that's going to tell us a lot. And you know that the state, either they're working on that or they have that already. So
Right.
that's going to be pretty interesting to hear.
Yep.
And Janet says, Zulema is key to future testimony. Oh, yes, she is. Of course she is.
I think so too.
Yep. Zulema has a use immunity agreement, which means that she had enough information that the state could actually use in its pursuit of conviction that could be incriminating for herself. So they gave her an immunity agreement so she would give them that information. That's a big deal.
You
So
wonder if it's another deal with the devil like they gave Crystal
Mhm.
Kenny. Oh, Crystal Kenny, I can't believe her. Oh, that case.
I can't believe that mistake was made by the judge.
Mm.
You know, I really can't. They did say that was a deal with the devil. The DA said that themselves. We made a deal with the devil to convict Patrick Frazee. And now she's going to walk.
She's walking.
That's awful.
I don't know. I have to go back and look. But man alive, I hope Kelsey Bear's family hits her with the wrongful death suit. I do. Because by her own testimony, she almost killed that woman 3 times and knew he was going to do it. They should hit her, and since she's not going to be in prison, they should be taking all of her money for that little girl. Every bit of it.
Absolutely agree.
She's
Kimberly
awful.
McVeigh, thank you for the super chat. The super sticker that says, you are amazing with the dancing. I'm not sure what those things are. Beans, maybe?
Yay.
That's adorable. Thank you so much. And Shadow of Lotus, that's a cool name, says, does anybody think Melanie Gibb and David helped with JJ?
Absolutely.
I want to put the big opinion flashing sign on the screen. Imagine it. Opinion. Yes, I do. 100%. I don't doubt that for a second.
I've been saying that for a long time.
Yep.
Well,
there's no evidence of it. Understand, there's zero evidence that Melanie Gibb and David Warwick were involved in JJ's death in any way. Okay, please make sure that you remember that. But personally, I think they had something to do with it. So
as soon as we got the arrest affidavit, wasn't that what it was? Yeah, where they were talking about Alex brought him back in the apartment and he was asleep. The way they described him being asleep and it being a touching moment, so they helped.
That's a setup. That was a cover your ass statement.
Because there was too much detail out of everything that happened that night. They can't tell you what they talked about on the podcast, nothing. But they zeroed in about how sweet it was. And I said, there's too much detail in that story. They knew he was dead. That's when it happened.
Yep. Now, to go on the speculation train, which I tend to avoid, but when we look at the burials of the 2 children, Tylee's burial was done with anger and violence and aggression. JJ's was done, and I know this sounds strange, but it was done in almost a nurturing way.
Yep.
He was, and I hate to even use this term, but he was packaged up very neatly and buried in a proper burial.
Yeah, they respected his body. They kept him intact. They covered him so that no animals would dig him up. And they covered him with wood. They covered him with stones. They put him next to a pond underneath a tree. It was a burial I hate to use that, but like a good dog, you know?
Right.
I mean, it really, and right before they went to the airport, I guarantee you.
And the difference between the 2 burials is that Melanie and David were at Lori's house the night JJ died. Yep. And I think if there was any remorse to be shown in that situation, it probably came from them. So that's why I think they were involved. There is zero evidence of this. So please don't go saying, Awen said, no.
No.
I'm saying, I'm theorizing based on everything I know about from watching 25 years of true crime stuff.
Yep.
When somebody is buried in a remorseful, respectful way, somebody who cared about them was involved in it. And it wasn't Lori and Chad.
It definitely wasn't Lori and Chad. And I don't know what you were talking about earlier, what you think Lori's defense is going to be, but I think the way that Tali was disposed of is going to be what hangs her.
Quite possibly. Yep.
The stories that are around her in the past that aren't, well, we haven't talked about on this channel, but I think that'll hang her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do have a pretty strong theory of what I think Lori's defense strategy is going to be for the current charges, at least. But I don't want to say anything yet till we get to trial, because certainly if certain people are listening, I don't want to give them any ideas.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? Oh, goodness. I want to come up with a perfectly plausible defense strategy and have Mark Mean say, hey, that's good. I'll try that. I would never forgive myself for that. So
yeah,
I don't want to talk about that.
I don't know what Chad Daybell ain't got a hope or a prayer.
No, I don't think he does.
No.
Yeah.
He might as well crawl on under the bus now. Find a comfy seat. Be a speed bump.
Yep.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Zalima was smart. She was smart to get a deal.
She was.
But I knew when we hadn't heard anything out of her, she probably had one. Everybody else was talking. I thought it was interesting that the first part of that 2020 episode had Summer in it, and then poof, she was gone. She wasn't in any more of the show. I wonder if she asked to be taken out of it.
I would not be entirely surprised by that. And Rowan asks if we're lawyers. Rowan, I am not a lawyer yet. I have actually just this week started looking into getting a law degree, because why not? I got time.
No joke.
And I want to keep following cases. And what I find the most fascinating is all of this legal stuff going on. I love digging into this stuff and figuring out what it all means and why they're doing it. So I might actually be pursuing a law degree soon. We're making some calls, getting some stuff going.
We stayed at a Holiday Inn and we play one on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's possibly in the offing. Hi, Kristen and company. Nice to see you. I saw you join Discord last night. I don't know if you made it for the thing, but hopefully you'll be able to next time we do a watch party. It was great to see you there. So that was fun. Oh, goodness.
My goodness. You know, the only thing I'm dreading with the Letecia Stauch case, it's the same DA that did Patrick Frazee case.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's leaving, right? Because of the election.
I'm not sure yet.
Like they turned it over. I don't know. I don't think he's the lead prosecutor anymore, but whatever. They might not let cameras in the courtroom like they did with Frazee. I'm going to be really upset if we don't see that crazy 3-ring circus on TV.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Harry.
Why not?
Harry Kohler in chat does divorces for battered women as an advocate. That's fantastic. Awesome.
Well,
definitely glad to have you here. That is
my mom. Yeah, my mom was the founding director of a domestic violence shelter, so we're big on domestic violence advocates around here.
Definitely. This is definitely something that we focus on. And once, as these cases get quiet, we're going to pick that back up, because that's what I started this channel for the Toxic Bliss series, to talk about narcissism, recovering from narcissistic abuse, and all forms of domestic violence. We see them far too often in these cases, so certainly go hand in hand with what we do here. So it's awesome to see an advocate in the chat. That's
Absolutely.
Great. Criminal investigator. Rowan, if I was 19 again, or 17 or 15, I don't even know, and knew what I knew now, I would become a behavioral analysis expert for the FBI.
Yeah,
I would also become a criminal investigator, like CSI type thing. I would become probably a prosecuting attorney. I don't know if I want to be a criminal defense attorney, but I would definitely be an attorney in some kind of criminal form because it's fascinating to me. I'd also be an astrophysicist, which I'm currently working on. But there's so many things that I was like, oh, that would be great for me. But then I saw Dr. Pimple Popper on TV and said,
Oh gosh, I
that's
can't
what I
believe
should
that.
have done with my life.
Y'all are crazy.
So yeah, I'd like to be a coroner, a medical examiner, and do autopsies. There's so many things I want to do. So many things.
Yeah, when I went to college, I went because I was going to be a forensic psychologist. So,
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah, I'll come up here right outside of Knoxville. I'll go to the body farm. Oh, man. Then I got pregnant whenever I was taking anatomy and physiology in college. Oh, my gosh. I was so sick every time we had a lab. I was like, that's it. Never again.
My cat is attacking me.
Never again. I hear that.
Oh, I don't recall. You just became an attorney in New York last year. That's amazing. That's
That is
wonderful. I do
cool.
have questions because as I was looking up the curriculum on some of the colleges I was looking at, universities, I'm confused as, well, if I want to be a criminal defense attorney, do I do this? Or what is a JD? And what's this? And what's that? And what does it all mean? So I do have questions for you, and I'll hit you up in Discord because I certainly don't want to pay a bunch of tuition to get a degree that is not what I want.
Hey,
You know?
don't be volunteering services around here all willy nilly. We'll get you up.
Definitely. Oh, goodness. All right. So I'm about done. I'm not feeling so good today. It's cold here. We still don't have running water.
Oh my gosh.
It has been, what,
Come to
about
my
2 weeks
house.
now? I
Just
just
jump
could
in
get
the
in the
car.
car,
You should have.
hang out with
Well,
Jess, take a damn shower. She'd be like, you smell, get in the shower. Like,
yeah.
I know, I'm sorry.
Be like my teenagers when they come in. All three of you go.
Yep. Yep.
Go get in the
It's rough.
shower.
Because, we do the sponge bath and all that stuff. We can heat up some bottled water and stuff, but it's not the same.
No.
It's just not the same. And my husband had to take pretty much every stitch of fabric in this house to the laundromat yesterday. Because after 2 weeks, you've got nothing left.
Yeah,
So
no kidding.
all the bedding, all the towels, all the clothes, everything had to go to the laundromat. He was there for hours, and that cost a pretty
My
penny.
gosh. Poor Dave.
Oh, yeah, bucket baths. We're doing bucket baths, Lisa. It's rough. I'm not used to living like this, and I feel like
No.
we're camping or something, but dang. Even washing dishes. You would not believe how hard it is to wash dishes when you don't have running hot water.
Yep.
Man, it's crazy. So I'm getting a little testy now. It was, fun and
Well,
ooh, yeah,
how long's
let's
it
fight through
been?
it. It's been about 2 weeks.
Yeah, it has. It's been
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah, we had water for a day and a half, and then it went right back out, and now we still
That
don't
is
have it. But
ridiculous.
going on 6 days now, and our supermarkets are still depleted. It's still hard to get a lot of good stuff, and I've just about had it. It's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
It's not fun. So I'm a little cranky. I apologize for that, but it happens.
Oh man, I went to the grocery store today. I've been locked in the house forever. So I went down the Easter candy aisle, which was probably not the best idea. They have marshmallow topped Reese's.
Oh no.
Yeah. They
Oh
will not
no.
live to see tomorrow, I don't think.
I think I need those. Dave may have to make a midnight snack run.
Might have to.
Stephanie's asked me several times in chat if I've seen the documentary on Gabriel Fernandez. I have seen that on Netflix. It about broke me.
Which one's that? That sounds
I forget the
familiar.
title of it. He's the little boy who was just
Oh, no, no, no,
ridiculously
no.
abused for so long.
No. The one that John Crimes was going to cover and didn't.
Yes, it is
I fed him to the
very hard
pigs.
to watch. I would recommend a giant trigger warning.
No. That's a bad one. That's a bad one.
As far as all the cases we covered, that one is horrifying.
I'll tell you what, the one that I'm watching right now, what's that dude's name? Oh, Donald Smith, because it's my husband's grandpa's name. The Cherish Periwinkle,
Mm-hmm.
the little 8-year-old girl. Oh my God, it's heartbreaking. The medical examiner breaks down in court and has to leave the stand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you can do that after a 37-year career, can you imagine? You wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
terrible.
The Fernandez documentary is one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's that bad. So I would recommend maybe even not watching it.
No,
It's that bad.
it's not. Yeah, that's not for the faint of heart.
Oh, Brenda,
Not at all.
you have 8 kids and you had 10 days without water. Oh, goodness gracious. That must have been fun.
Goodness.
Wow. That's
You
not fun.
want 3 more? I've got 3 teenage boys. Sounds like you're doing better than I am. I've got water. I'll send water with them.
Right, there you go.
We'll trade.
Oh, goodness. Yes,
Oh,
and it is
wow.
on Netflix. I forget what it's called, but I'm sure if you just Google Gabriel Fernandez, it'll come up with the name of the
That's
documentary.
another case that CPS really bungled.
That one, it infuriated me for months after seeing it.
Yeah,
And to
they
see that,
should get fired. They should absolutely.
yep.
They should have been prosecuted for that mess.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there's a lot of stuff going on. We're doing a lot of work behind the scenes this week. You know, I'm working on the master timeline of the Vallow case, putting every tiny little thing that happens into a master spreadsheet because we're going to need that for the trial. But that's taking a lot of work and a lot of research. We're going to be working on getting Jess's new computer all set up and all
Yep,
that. It's
and
going
my
to be great.
Gannon case,
And
going back over it.
as soon as that's ready, you know that we're going to spam it everywhere, so you're not going to miss it. Sugarbutt is asking when will the water be back on. I have no idea. I don't know. Every day we call the landlord, they say, "Oh well, we're working on it." I'm like, "And?"
The problem in Texas is everybody needs it.
Yep,
So all the plumbers are backed up and there are no plumbing supplies in Texas.
yep. Even
Everybody's out of
we've gone,
everything.
we've gone through. I think the complex has gone through 3 different plumbers who cannot locate the leak exactly where it is, and if the next plumber that comes in on Monday can't find the leak, then they have to get another one, and finding another plumber is impossible. But even when they do find the leak, it's underground, so they're going to have to get backhoes and a permit and supplies, and we're probably looking at another week.
I'm
So
really surprised they're not being responsible for some of this. Putting you guys in a hotel or something crazy.
it's getting to that point.
Yeah.
It's getting to that point for sure. So we'll
You
see what
can't
happens.
expect people to go, especially in a luxury apartment complex.
Yep.
You know?
Yep, they're doing what they can. Like they're hauling up buckets of water and leaving them outside all of our doors every day. But you can't shower with that or wash with it. It's probably
No.
pool water or something. I don't even know what it is. But that's just for flushing the toilets.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but now what? Wash my dishes. Make a pot of coffee, you know?
They need to be sending y'all gallons of water that
They do. They
you
need to be
know.
sending potable water, not just
Yeah.
flushing toilets water. So we'll see what happens. But
Either that or start throwing some Blue Dawn down in that pool.
yeah,
Y'all start taking baths.
it's
The
almost
old
warming up. It's
fashioned
about
way.
80 degrees. So another couple
I
of days we
know.
get in the pool, go get clean.
That's one way.
Yeah. All right. So there's a lot of stuff coming this week. As you know, I'm always keeping my eye on the Vallow case. Anything new that comes up, it's a new filing that's really big, I'll make a video right away. Any hearings, I'll bring them to you live as they happen. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed and ring the notification bell because sometimes I go live immediately if something big happens and you don't want to miss that. So stay tuned. Stay in Discord. We'll be promoting all of Jess's stuff once the new channel's up and running. We'll have links to all of that. And stay, channel members and Patreons, please stay aware of the posts on the community page because we got some stuff coming. So you don't want to miss any of it. And as always, if you want to reach me, all of my social medias are down in the links below in the description. And if you want to reach Jess, I'm going to add her stuff to the description too. And you can always find her in Discord as well.
Yep, I'm always around lurking.
Mm-hmm. Lurk.
Yep. Usually shopping, window shopping.
Yeah, we do a lot of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, come join us in Discord for fun and shopping and true crime. Yay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you for being here. And
Bye,
stay
guys.
tuned. Bye. How do I turn this off again? Oh, that end broadcast button. There it is.